Hello everyone, I'm Carius, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Conquest Pro. As you can see, there are a couple changes to this one already. It's got an out-of-darts Tachi mag sticking out the back of it, which is normally impossible for the Conquest Pro. And you can see a little bit of a brass barrel sticking out here. And I'm going to open it up and upgrade the spring to let it make better use of this barrel I've put in it, and show you how to Dremel the back of the Conquest Pro to take the Tachi mags, and even the worker 18 rounder curved mags will also fit in here. Oh, and just another small tip for all these Adventure Force Pro blasters. A good place to store your spare O-rings is just in one of these little notches in the grip. They won't rattle around or anything, and they just kind of sit right there, and they'll be there if you ever need to replace them. I just do that in all my Adventure Force Pro blasters so that I won't lose the O-rings or forget where I put them. Open this up, and here you can see the Tachi mag set in here. Just because the mag is curved, you can see it kind of pushes upwards a little bit, so it's flexing this way, and the mag release engages it, but just barely. It's pretty trivial to just rip the whole magazine out, regardless of the mag release. But there's enough friction from this curved magazine being shoved in here that it's not going to fall out on its own, and the mag release is just enough to keep it in place so that it'll feed darts correctly. For now, I'm just dealing with the fact that it's a push-in, push-out magazine that isn't held in there super securely. As you can see, I've got my brass barrel here. It's a bit longer than the aluminum barrel. It's got an extra like 2 or 3 inches on it, and that's just a length that I chose that kind of nests inside this muzzle and doesn't stick too far out. And the brass being a little bit tighter, I'm getting 10 more FPS than normal. Basically, it's hitting 160s with the stock spring. But I want to go ahead and replace this spring with a K25, because I've seen a couple people do that and it seems to work really well, so we'll do that. But first, I'll show you what I have cut out in order to get the Tachi mags to fit. You can see I've dremeled out this whole area of the back, like sling point area, all the way up to the catch, and even this bit of plastic right next to the catch. And that is enough for Tachi mags to fit. If you do this on both sides of the blaster, you can kind of see there, and if that doesn't show up on camera, I'll just take a cleaner picture of it and put it on screen. But that's all you got to do is cut out that, and it's a really close fit with the catch, because as you can probably tell, the catch has to go around the magazine in order for the trigger to engage it, and just because of how this whole system is set up. And the Tachi mag doesn't quite fit in there far enough if you leave the plastic on this side of the catch intact. It's just small enough that like it's touching the catch, but the blaster still will catch no problem, and the trigger can still actually engage it. One thing that's kind of important if you're trying this yourself, if you close this up just kind of partially and don't screw it together and try to test it, it's not going to catch. Like, there's just enough flex without the screws holding everything together that the magazine does end up interfering with the catch, and then it won't catch, or if it does catch, it won't fire. But as soon as you actually tighten the screws down, everything seems to work just fine, which is kind of strange. And you can see you can rip it right free from the magazine release without even pressing the button. But it does engage pretty solidly, and you can feel it's being held in by the mag release, but if you pull on it just a little bit harder, it pops right out. but it's definitely enough of a fit that it's not going to fall out on you when you're like using it. It's just kind of something to keep in mind that it's not super solid. You wouldn't want to like pick it up by the magazine or anything. All I did was Dremel out that area in the back, and you can see you've ended up with this notch here. And I tried to do it fairly cleanly, but you could probably just lop off this whole thing if you wanted to, but I think this is the minimum amount of plastic that you need to remove to get the longer mags to fit in. Okay, let's put a K25 spring in here. I got me a full long boy, and I believe you want it to be a little bit longer than the stock spring. Get a little bit of pre-compression. So let me go get my bolt cutters. And for everybody who's struggling with cutting springs, because like your standard like wire cutters or nippers are not gonna even make a dent in them, and in fact you will end up destroying your tool trying, because they're a lot harder than wire, for example. Your two options for cutting a spring easily anyway are bolt cutters, which is my preferred method because it's super simple, or you can just cut it with a Dremel cutting wheel, which also works. But I like the bolt cutters because it's easy. And the kind of trick to getting the bolt cutter where you want it is you just find where you want to cut. Let's see. I'll just do like 2 coils past and bend the spring around so that you got your coil here, and you can just cut it. Kapow! Done. And that's nice and painless, and of course the Dremel works also, but it's a little bit more difficult and super loud, and you're gonna send sparks from the spring. The catch block of the Conquest Pro is extremely snug on K25, but it does fit. And K26 is actually too small to fit around the plunger rod, from what I've seen so far, so K25 seems to be your best bet. And I believe that length with just a little bit of extra pre-compression will be ideal here. And that's it. I'm gonna close it up. This barrel isn't even like glued in place or anything. I just have, and this is a good way to do a lot of things like this where you're trying to fit tubes together, is just wrap electrical tape until you have a nice interface. And I just wrap more around it. There's actually a chunkier piece of electrical tape on the inside here that is forcing this in place so that it can't move forward and get out of the breach here. So this is holding it in place, and it's solid, it's not going anywhere, and it's not permanent. So if I needed to take the barrel out or swap it back to the old barrel or change the length of it or whatever, I can still take it apart. And all I needed was to wrap it in electrical tape until it was the right thickness and just kind of adjust it until it fit. But that's all I wanted to do. I've done pretty much everything else. It's a really interesting mechanism in which this whole piece kind of flexes downwards as you're priming it, and it moves out of the way of the darts, then springs back out, and then pushes the dart into this tube that twists, and it's crazy. Definitely would recommend, if you buy one of these, kind of just prime it and then open up the jam door and just kind of watch the mechanism work, because it's really complicated and interesting, and it seems like it wouldn't be as smooth as it is, because it's a pretty complex little mechanism. Then we put this back together. There's a couple things that are going to get in your way, like the catch, so you just kind of have to reach in from the back and push that forward, and then it'll go in there. And the safety automatically turns itself on when you put the blaster back together, which is kind of weird, so I always have to pop it back out. I've opened this thing up several times now. And then we can see if it actually primes. That primes really easily with the K25. Okay, cool. That still fits. Alright, well, we'll see what kind of FPS increase I've got. Hopefully a decent amount. let's take it to the chronograph and see what it does. Okay, got a Tachi mag, it's loaded about halfway. Ta-da. $187. That's an improvement. Oh, that was a jam. That is one thing I've noticed occasionally, because the curvature of the mag, the darts will be tilted like that sometimes a little bit more. And the Conquest Pro's breech sometimes will jam a dart in slightly crooked, and then it won't shoot very well. But it'll still be in the breech, and that this second shot will probably fire. Yeah, and it shot 180. So it's really weird. Like, it's like the breech doesn't close all the way, and then when you fire the blaster, it corrects itself, and then when you fire again, it shoots like normal. And if you try to prime it a second time, you'll end up shooting 2 darts. It's really strange. And I think it's just because the Tachi mag's a little weird. But let's try some more shots. That felt smooth. 160, 176, 189, 177, 186, 175, 182. Yeah, this is shooting really well. Oh, that was empty. Okay. Oh, nope, it wasn't. I think I jammed again. Oh no, it just didn't grab a dart. Yeah. The feeding isn't as reliable with the Tachi mag as it is with other magazines. And I think it's just because of the slight bend of the mag and the fact that the mag can kind of wiggle around inside this. There's probably something I can do to fix that by shimming it somewhere, because it is a little loose and kind of wobbles side to side, and sometimes when you prime the blaster, you can feel the dart pusher actually catching on the mag itself. And I've heard that the Tachi mag, the feed lips of the magazine are a little tighter than most Talon mags, so that might be what's causing the problem, but for the most part, it feeds pretty reliably, and with the brass barrel and the K25, it's shooting 180 pretty consistently, or even up to 190, 187, 190, and that was empty. Yes, okay. So, I wouldn't recommend slam firing it with one of these, but it seems to work pretty well. Now it's time to murder some cups with the Conquest Pro. Got me a fully loaded Tachi mag with Adventure Force Pro darts. There we go. That's all in there. And the first dart's trying to jam because... Ah, okay, that's interesting. See the... I had a jam and the dart did this, where it's been pinched at the back a little bit, and I'm not sure what is causing that exactly. That seemed to feed just fine. Okay, let's shoot some cups. That's pretty good for just half darts. Yep, and that was the whole magazine. So after, that's weird, the very first dart of the mag, and I loaded the mag with 30, so it might have been my fault for overloading it, because it's supposed to hold 29, right? But the very first dart got kind of pinched and stuck in the breech weird. And, but then I just went through 29 darts without a single jam. so your mileage may vary. And also keep in mind this blaster is about half screwed together, so putting in the rest of the screws might give it enough rigidity to fix the jamming. And just for the hell of it, I'm going to load up a worker 18 rounder and see if I can clear the rest of the cups off the table. Okay, I loaded up an 18 rounder, and I find that these comfortably hold 20 darts. Like, I don't even feel like I'm overloading it. And this has 20 in it right now, and I could fit 1, 2 more. Now it's got 22 rounds in it, and it feels overloaded now. Like, this last dart is compressing the rest of the darts a bit, and then this dart is the one that you kind of would get where you know that the magazine is at capacity, like one more than it should, but then you get to 20 and it feels like it was made for 20 darts. I don't know if I've even tried to see if this mag works in this blaster, but it should. It's pretty tight. Like, the last few inches, like, it's in there. Like, it's not even I pull the mag release and hold it by the magazine, and it's not going anywhere. So you really got to use some force to pull this back out, but it's in there, and we'll see if it shoots. Whew. I just shot a dart with a dart. Probably have a few more darts left. If I pull the mag out, yeah, I got 7 rounds. Let's slam fire them off and just see what happens. Well, that worked flawlessly. So it seems like these are really snug, but they feed super reliably once you get it to the point where you've got this notch cut out the back here. Yeah, so that's my Conquest Pro that uses curved magazines. Wasn't sure if this was going to be possible when I was first looking at it, but I'm like, this is like a slam fire, hip fire sniper. I wanted it to be able to put longer mags in it and get that almost 30 round capacity, and it seems to work just fine. The longer mag, depending on how you're holding the blaster, it can be a little weird because it's sticking out this far, you know, which isn't too bad. It almost makes you want to use it like a stock, which is not comfortable. But if you're like hip firing it and holding it out just a little bit, it's not in the way at all. It's just kind of like nudged against your shoulder just a little bit. It feels pretty good. And you saw with, like, of course this is super close range, so the accuracy is not like a huge factor here, but I was able to hit exactly which cup I was aiming for every single time, no problem. And even shot that dart off the table with that last shot. So it definitely feels like it's nice and accurate. You could probably squeeze more power out of it with a longer brass barrel and a little bit more K25, but I think I'm happy with where it's at right now. I'm hitting high 180s reliably. If you wanted to go longer on the brass and still keep it within the shroud, you've got an extra 1.5 inches that you could do, no problem. And with the stock spring, the Conquest Pro will push a dart through a full foot of brass. Like, it'll shoot Adventure Force Pro darts through 12 inches of brass with the stock spring. It's not great. Like, it does about 100 FPS, and some shots barely make it out of the barrel because they get a little stuck, but it's possible that a foot-long barrel with a K25 spring, or maybe something stronger, would easily clear 12 inches of brass, and you could get 200 plus FPS out of a Conquest Pro with no problems. So definitely seems possible, and then you can have 30 round capacity on the top of that. So he's a cool blaster. I'm a big fan of it. Okay, I want to do one more test here. I got another fully loaded Tachi mag. Actually, it's a little overloaded. I'm at 31 darts here. I'm going to load that into the Conquest Pro, and I want to try slam firing through the whole magazine I'm going to test 1, can I get through the whole magazine without jamming? And 2, how accurate can I actually be with the slam fire? Because it's a little awkward slam firing anyway. And I want to see how many of those 31 shots, assuming I get through them, I can actually hit the little rival target over there. So this is 20 feet away, aiming at a little rival target. Not a difficult shot if you're aiming and taking the shot, but with slam fire, I don't know if I'm going to hit it at all. Let's find out. Oh, I jammed. That was a pretty bad jam, it sounds like. I got through all but 4 darts, and now I've got what sounds like 2 darts stuck in the barrel. Oh, in the breech maybe. What is going on here? Let's take a look at the jam door. Oh yeah, look at that. What's going on here? I have a dart. You can see this dart like in the breech, stuck in there. Yeah, and I definitely had several. Oh, there we go. Got that out of there. I believe there's another dart. Yeah, there's a dart in the barrel already. And there was another dart in the little rotating breech bit that it was trying to shove in behind it. And especially with the brass barrel. The cool thing about these setups is it's got just kind of like a looser piece of plastic that then interfaces with the brass barrel, so you don't have to worry about feeding getting harder when you swap the barrel out. But if it's trying to shove 2 darts in there, it's going to jam even worse than it would normally. So yeah, but now it should be fine. Maybe it's got more than 2 darts stuck in there. Uh-oh. That's not good. I'll just do this. We'll get a ramrod, bamboo skewer. I'm going to prime it so that the breech is moved out of the way of the barrel. You can see it kind of sideways in there. And then just push back through the brass barrel. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, I pushed past the darts. Use the blunter end of the skewer. I think I might have a dart folded in the barrel. Oh, there's one. Oh yeah, that was folded. Uh-oh. But it was just one dart. It was a dart that looked like it had been folded in half or something, and then air was just rushing past it when I shot. But that got all cleared. Seems to be fine now. So yeah, slam fire with the Conquest Pro is a little dicey when you have a magazine that it's not built for, that's a little wobbly. I feel like the 20 round Tala mags are a lot more reliable when slam fire. For the most part, I can get this thing to fire pretty reliably. Like, it went through 27 rounds? 26? If you count the... yeah, 26, because there's one jammed. And there's 4 rounds left in here. Seems to be shooting just fine. That one wasn't great. You see that little weird pop? Alrighty. Gonna do one more slam fire test with the Worker 18 rounder. And that has 21 rounds in it right now, so seems to be feeding just fine. Oh. So you can see I had some weird jams, and the accuracy is not great with slam fire, as you would expect, but it does seem to work. It's one of those features where it's like, yeah, it's nice to have, but probably won't use it ever. It definitely seems to fire much more reliably when you just prime it and shoot it as normal. If there's any kind of weirdness with a dart, there's enough like slop in that breech where things will bend out of the way, and then the dart will get situated weird and not feed properly, or the breech won't be all the way closed when it shoots. It's a weird mechanism that I don't think lends itself super well to slam fire. And of course, the shell cutting that I did didn't change anything for the geometry of regular mags. So like the stock magazine still fits in just fine as normal. It's nice and snug in there, and still gravity drops right out when you pull the mag release. So all it does is give you the extra option to put in the long boys. Okay, just a small update. I trimmed the catch itself down just a little bit, right where this ridge of the Tachi mag hits it, and now it's working a lot more reliably, and the mag seems to engage a little better in the actual mag release, so that helps. Just a small thing. I don't know if it's going to weaken the catch. It just takes out these two little notches that were there, but it's definitely helped. And I gotta put a second catch spring over the original spring to make it a little stronger, so that seems to have helped quite a bit. Bye. So I shaved down the catch just a little bit in those two little notches so that this will fit in a little bit better, and it is much more solid in there. Seems to be actually engaging the catch for the magazine correctly. I also put a small shim around here. It's like a 1/16 of an inch of plastic that pushes the magazine down a little bit more against the catch, and that doesn't seem to even affect the stock magazines, but it seems to help this stay in a lot better. Now this is actually solidly engaged, and I'm going to try slam firing through this magazine. It's fully loaded with like 30 darts, and see if those two little small changes have improved the reliability of this magazine. Whoop, already jammed. What happened? Yeah, I've got 2 darts jammed in the barrel again. Let's fix that real quick. Reset. I'm starting to think slam fire is just not great in this blaster. Stop shooting. I got one dart that's looking like this out of the magazine that I guess just wasn't being fed, so resetting again. Okay, it seems to be working all right. Most of the slam fire problems seem to be darts being pushed into this little interface breach, but then falling down out of the breach slightly, and then as soon as it gets pulled like that, the dart gets caught between, you can kind of see the rotating piece and this little orange lip in there where the magazine rests, and the dart just kind of gets sandwiched in there and folded, and then the pusher can't quite get it in there all the way. It's really weird. And it seems to just be a problem with slam firing, because I don't get those jams when I'm just priming it normally. So it's really weird. But especially with the K25 added to the blaster, slam firing through a Tachi mag is starting to hurt my arm anyway, so like, I don't think it's something I'm ever going to actually be doing in a Nerf war. So that's all I got for today. Gotta pick up this big mess of mangled cups. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, this has been Carius reminding you to have fun. Let's get a thumbnail.